Hey there Wargamers, Justin Cloud here with another video, and this time I would like to review the Farsight Codex. Very briefly, not much of a point in going into too many of the rules details, simply because there weren't many of them, and the Codex has actually been out for, I believe, 3 months now, 3.5 months, give or take, maybe 4. So the review of the rules has probably been out for a while, because the Codex launched as a digital version first, which in my opinion, business-wise for Games Workshop is an interesting strategy. However, a lot of players like me waited to get the physical copy because we don't have access to a portable ebook reader, so it didn't make much sense to release an electronic specific version and then 3.5 months later release the physical copy in hopes that people would buy it again. I would only buy one or the other. It'd be kind of cool, given the price tag. You're looking at about $50 for this book. Given the price tag, it would be nice if the book simply came with the electronic version. It's very expensive for what you're getting. I would not buy the electronic and the physical. It just doesn't make much sense. More specifically because this book right here only comes with a couple, like 3-4 pages of rules. The majority of it is fluff, which is fine, but dollar for dollar when you're comparing these two books, this one here has a lot more information in it. So I would like to start by showing you guys the width of these books. And you're looking at about the same. This book on right here has got a little bit more in it. It looks like the hardback is a little bit thicker as well. This one's a little bit smaller. That being said, this book has way more rules in it, in addition to fluff, than this one does. And price-wise, this one is more expensive. That being said, if you look at this book here, you can see the sleeve is nice. The little dust jacket or whatever comes off. There's the little Codex image there. So I was pleased with the quality of the book, but as many of you may have guessed, the dollar value assigned to this book does not necessarily reflect what you're actually getting. Paying about $50 for the Codex Space Marine Codex, which is one of the biggest codexes, if not the biggest codex that is out and probably will be out, was not so bad considering what you're getting. But knowing that you paid about the same for this and got like 3 or 4 pages of rules and a whole bunch of fluff kind of makes it feel like this should have been a little bit cheaper. I know that I'm kind of complaining a little bit about price policy on Games Workshop's part. Nothing new there, but for the new player, or this right here is probably more along the lines of a collector. The rules in it aren't that game breaking that anyone's really gonna feel the need to have to get this, in my opinion. In a nutshell, this gives you some new specific signature war gear that's not in here, while also limiting you to only using the signature war gear in here. You can use the war gear from here, but the specific entry of signature gear in this one is not usable in this one. So if you're playing Farsight, you're limited to what you can use. In addition, by playing the Farsight book, you have either the Farsight Warlord traits or the standard rulebook codex or rulebook traits, Warlord traits. You don't get any out of this. A handful of these are almost useless, in my opinion. One of them gives your Warlord +1 weapon skill, which, if you're not running Farsight, or if you don't get that on Farsight, you're running Farsight, whatever, but you happen to be running a generic HQ, it's useless. So that particular Warlord trait is only useful to Farsight himself. You could get stuck with that and it's useless. Not to say that every one of these is good, but this one's Warlord traits are not all that spectacular. One of them in particular is really good, but the others are not so much. The major difference between this book and this one is that by using a Farsight Enclave army, Farsight lets you bring in crisis suits as troops, and you have to bring in one troop or one mandatory troop choice that is crisis suits. I think that the effectiveness of this book is really going to be in the allies department, not so much the full army. Bring in this the Farsight Enclave as the allies detachment for Tau or Codex Marines, and those crisis suits as troops really make it a little bit more efficient model count wise for what you're purchasing and what you're going to be able to play with. And in future video segment, I'm going to talk, or I have already talked about, Tau as allies with Codex Marines and vice versa. I'm going to do another segment talking about the new 6th edition Tau, or Codex Marines with Tau, as well as Farsight as allies, because they are battle brothers with Codex Marines, which is very ironic. I think that there's going to be lots of little exploitable tricks between these two books, whether allied with each other or allied in some way with Codex Space Marines. So stay tuned and look out for that video series when it comes out. And as always, if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe. Please feel free to comment below and let me know what you think I can do to do better, or if you have general questions, I will try to respond. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and happy wargaming.